and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. What a dear pleasure it is to have you here again. Yeah, it is. It is so nice to find ourselves on another day with everything we need to thrive. Or at least we'll ask, what do we need to thrive? That is what today's stream topic will be about. Last night it came down with some thickum rains, tornado warnings. I think we got tornado warninged
for like 2 hours straight.
for 2 hours straight, like 6 times. It was just hijacking my phone. That the siren did not stop. It was so loud. It was so very loud. But we were in the basement, so it was completely okay. And here we find ourselves on the waking side of reality again. And nothing really changed. That entire park is completely flooded again, literally after one night of rain, which is to be expected, but the conditions are still met. Yeah, thriving will be happening. I'll be asking you, friends, as you come into the space, what you believe we need to thrive, and I probably will go into detail about like our species. We had a moment yesterday where we watched some stuff about AI. It was very much AI, anti-AI kind of sentiment, all of it. I don't think there was one positive thing said about AI at all. Like they didn't talk about the medical breakthroughs, people having their lives saved by that stuff. They didn't talk about math being solved.
no,
They
it's
didn't talk about
revolutionary.
code. Like they literally didn't say have a single positive thing to say. It was only negative bias. But it was good to gain some perspective, right? To learn about some of the systems that did become a part of the training data that is technically going to have some sort of influence, right? It's like the way that I see it is like when you meet a boomer, right? Super boomer, especially in South Africa, you almost expect them to be a certain way, you know? It's like they'll say some whack shit sometimes, and you'll be shocked that they just said that, but you'll be like, yeah, makes sense. They're like from another generation. They say some whack shit sometimes, you know. And if you can hold room in your heart to not get triggered, you can still learn things from these individuals. I'm thinking about specifically this like really old man. I think he was in his late 70s. He was working as a lumberjack in Kaapse Whip when I went for that. Uh, uh, what's it called? Not sauna, sweat lodge. When I went for that sweat lodge experience, it is 25 minutes past. When I went for that sweat lodge experience, it was this matter of like we were just working, chopping down stuff, and then suddenly he like arrives to the spot, and I'm like, hey, and he's like, hey, and I'm like, how you doing? And he's like, I'm doing good. And I'm like, yeah, this place is beautiful. He's like, yeah, this place is beautiful. And then like the next thing he says is something racist.
Oh my.
Where it was like, I was like, how did we get here? You know? And then I keep my composure. I don't show that I'm like not okay with that and that I think you should probably not say stuff like that out loud. I just kind of like I try to remain courteous and coy. And then I have a conversation with my friend who invited me over to that place later in the day. And then that person comes up and the conversation is had and he sees me talking about him and by all traditional metrics, he's a good person, right? He hosts people, he feeds people out of his own wallet, as long as those people have the same skin color that he does. It's so fucking
Really?
whack. Yeah, it's like it's weird. It's like weird. Like he, by certain perspective, is an actual good person, right? But still has like racial bias. And then I had this conversation with my friend about that, right? And he kind of had the same sentiment of like, yeah, that is the way it is, right? I think he went through some trauma in the past as well. I think that's also a part of it, right? That kind of like made him believe what he believes.
Made him retreat into his fear.
Exactly. Retreat into his fear and like at that age, you're so deep into your default mode network as well. Like this almost nothing that you can say to convince a
Like you
person
can't learn from a
otherwise.
kid.
Yeah, me telling him, "Have you considered not?" He'd be like, "Yeah, I've considered.
Have you considered there's something you're not considering?
I've lived 50 years longer than you, dude. You're not gonna tell me anything new." But do what? Today on Sam. What the fuck? What we need to thrive? Sugar and sunlight initially. Then we discovered our peepees and suddenly needed more. Do what now? Yeah. Like again, like if you friends ever really dive deep into finding out more about AI, you're probably going to hear some takes. I had someone.
It's infinite.
It's pretty infinite. It's very big.
Literally, yeah.
Real big. I had a person in stream, and I think that person probably knew a little bit of that history as well. Call me like the problem or a racist or something for believing that AI technologies can make the world a better place. Right? And I didn't understand at that point what they were getting at. Right? And essentially, there is like a whole history of people measuring things, right? And there's a part of me that has like mixed feelings about that as well, because measuring does allow us to understand more about our reality. We also understand that not everything we can measure is actually real, that there is quantum effects in this reality that we cannot measure with our current instrumentation or tools, right? And how some of those measurements, right, down to like stuff like IQ, right, something like that, something as simple as IQ or intelligence, right, is a term steeped in bias. It doesn't even have to be racially charged. It can just be bias, right? Like what you think is intelligent and what isn't intelligent. And then these machines were built on those kinds of measurements, right? And we measure them in the same way we measure people. There was a line that I kind of agreed with a lady. Huh?
The subtle bodies of what things are made out of.
Exactly.
You know, you don't have to be. Yeah.
There was a line that I agreed with a lady last night that she talked about how it's dehumanizing to put to like, because again, intelligence and how intelligent we are can create like a ranking system, right? Like I am more intelligent than you kind of thing. And then on top of that, based on that measurement thing, right? Again, it's just bias. Doesn't even have to be charged with any other motives. If you believe or if you try to introduce AI into that competition, right? Saying like, oh yeah, you know, my intelligence might be better than your intelligence, but this AI intelligence is better than both of our intelligence. That dehumanizes us because we are, as human beings, more than just our intelligence kind of thing, right? We got Alonda Cruz, we got Dan here, and Indigo, and Lone Buffalo, and of course our dear friend Sam. Let me see if I missed anything. Nay. Shadow. Oh, love you, my darling. She's on her way. Thank you for the coffee.
Yeah, I was gonna fix it for you.
No, it's okay. I'll go and get it in a second. Thank you, my love. You got work to do. They're building a bunch of nuclear reactors near me to power an AI data center. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I like nuclear reactors. I would wish we would be building fusion reactors instead. Are you sure they're nukes? Are they going to be big ones? Sorry?
Nuclear reactors, there's nuclear power plants, and those things are actually supposed to be like not the cleanest.
Way cleaner than most
The
things.
only thing is like the way that they dispose of the nuclear stuff. But where are my keys?
I don't know.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. I'm the boomer. AI bad. Where is that again, Buffalo? On top of decommissioned nuclear reactors. It already had like a site for it. AI centers are being built near me too. That never properly disposed. That never properly disposed of the nuclear waste, and people are living in it. Oh, that is pretty yikes. Yeah, you ever trace where the materials from the Manhattan Project ended up? There's a reason St. Louis is so fucked up. Rose, Google world's biggest data center. Hurry. I think we saw that world's biggest data center thing yesterday. Are you close to that one, Lone? Where it's like the size of Manhattan? Think we saw that too. Yeah, Dan, thank you for joining us. I was looking into that a little bit ago, very briefly. I didn't hear of the waste though. Hi, Dan. I'm 9 years old. Jeez.
Alright, maybe they're in my car.
They might be. I wouldn't be surprised. We do live in a safe neighborhood, at least. Rogersville, MO. I don't know where MO is. Mossasolpi. Was just approved for a data center, and we will be moving there for work next year. Me and my roommate both have migraines already, which I've heard gets worse when you live around them. Don't believe that's going to be the case, right? Don't show up expecting to get a migraine, because I believe in the human ability to make manifest realities like that as well. I'm not saying that the people that get migraines around them are manifesting that for themselves, but I don't want you to dread having to move or getting into that space. Eyes, buffalo poop of suspicion. Tell them that they need to stop bullying it, Puff. Goob and I, plus some refried beans, are two walking nuclear reactors. The truly awakened potato. Ah, I'm definitely awake. Late tonight. Thank you, Zach. I'm happy that you are, friend. You found it? Oh, jeebies. I'll help you look. You have to get to work, my love. I'm at work. I'm gonna be fine. Like, where could it be? You didn't take it downstairs.
No.
I don't know. I don't know either. Peppers, hey Darren, thank you for joining us. Clean energy, India would be colonized by Mars by now. Good morning, Mr. Moore. It's me, Anna. Hello, Anna. Can I help you look, please?
Are they on that side of
They're not.
you? Oh, thanks for doing that.
I'm trying to think if I've seen them. Yeah. All right. The Springfield aquifer is already completely drained, and they are wanting to go from the Ozarks. Can't refill those. Wait, you two are in IT, AI coding? Not personally, but Lone Buffalo is. Lone Buffalo, and I think maybe Dan a little bit. A lot of my friends are using AI for code as well. It's a very useful tool, right? That is making the work easier. And I think that's what it's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to uplift every single person that uses it with that intelligence, right? I still do believe in the good that it is going to bring. GVs, I can't just sit around and wait while you're struggling, because you're getting late too.
I mean, I'm looking in spaces. I know where I've looked, and yep, I've looked like. So this is, I think.
I know that you're stressing about it too, my love. Our friends will be there in our space. I think they also can see me being distracted.
A good opportunity to find the self-grounded. A good opportunity to be grounded while the chaos happens around you.
That's fine. Like, it's not about the chaos for me and getting ungrounded. It's just about me thinking about you, caring about.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but like, really, it's I think causing me now more stress that I'm not willing to, or I'm not able to put my effort towards it, because now I'm stressing out about you, and it's causing a stress loop.
All right, I'll sit down. I'm like thinking maybe in the sunroom or on the in the carport.
I've looked in those places. I'll keep looking.
Okay. Alrighty. Alright. Let me get back to chat. Sweet. I think we should melt less. How about no? How about no? Humanity is clearly on a track of melting more. More and more and more. Alright. The poor ice caps are getting wrecked as well, dude. Nobody is safe. I shouldn't be making jokes like this. Is kind of grim. But I do believe that there is hope on the other side of it still. It's literally scientifically proven that they emit frequencies that give people migraines. I experienced this with white noise and such. I'm sure there will also trigger more things like seizures. You're sure? I am sure. Like, I don't know if that's a good place to operate from. Right? Certainty of people getting hurt. There's so many potentials in my mind where that's not the case as well. Yeah, AI is not what we need to thrive. I think you might be right. Right? I think the things we need to thrive as human beings are already here for us. Right? But then you look at the problems we face as a species, right? The stuff that hasn't changed. Despite the fact that things have progressed, right? Despite the fact that we have industrial revolution, despite the fact that there's more wealth in the world now than there's ever been before. You found it?
Yep.
Yay!
You weren't gonna find it.
Where did you find it?
In the driveway.
In the driveway? It fell?
Yeah, I must have dropped them.
Well, at least you found them. Did they get rained on?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, very rained on. I hope it's still working.
Me too.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I was going down the rabbit hole of thinking about we haven't solved the problems that we have as a species just yet, right? And I think there was definitely this part of me yesterday that watched it from the perspective of seeing how even the people that are building these technologies don't really know with any degree of certainty how it's going to produce money, right? Like they're literally going to make these models as smart as they can, and then they're going to make the smartest model make itself smarter, and then they're going to ask that smarter model how they can make money. That's basically the game plan that they have, and it's a little bit absurd. The human thriving on the ground is the thing that I feel is very easy to overlook. I think we need platforms, right? My dogs escaped out the gate this morning. It took me 20 minutes to find them. One down the block around the corner a ways, and one eventually went back home on his own. Very emotional start to my day. Dude, gobbledygoo. It seems like we're having a little bit of a time. Tumultuous. It's the same deal with electric cars. Great idea. Can we have modern infrastructure first? I think again, it's a matter of like it's impossible for this world to have modern infrastructure in the way that you're mentioning it, right? Like there's literally a train coming through this place, but the trains are not really the way that we want to use our vehicles anymore, right? The average human being has luggage and has very specific identification of where it is they want to go, right? So even though I was in China, and even though there were really good public infrastructure, I could go from Yangzhou, I can go from Huai'an to Yangzhou to Shanghai with only a taxi and trains, right? It's very nice to be able to travel that way. The rest of my, love you, Zhao. The rest of my travel was still done with car, right? The last couple of miles were still done with car, right? And in that way, I don't think we're going to be able to escape the car-centric culture we've built ourselves around, unfortunately. And when the cars drive themselves, I think it's going to be a lot more convenient. I think that's the big word. It's the convenience that it is that we are optimizing for, right? It's not very convenient to have to drive to an airport or have to drive to a train station, right? Depending on what you see as convenience, the ability to just kind of like leave your car behind might be convenient for you as well. But I think there's a lot to this, and I feel like we are definitely scratching at some of the depth of it. I'm curious to see how it's going to, wrap up. Let me see. Let me see. I think I missed a couple up top here too. There we go. All right, all right, all right, all right. Rogerville. Yeah. Tell them what they need to start building at Buff. Gab and I are the nuclear reactors. I believe in everything you're saying, Indigo, but at the same time, I don't believe we can stop. That is the hard part of the problem we find ourselves facing right now, right? Because it is true. This is affecting us directly. It's not helping us thrive, right? If you do live close to a data center, right, some of these data centers literally don't have enough electricity. So they're just like burning propane as generators, right? Or diesel generators. And then they're just putting noxious gas into the air nonstop in those communities, right? And we know that people are like having like asthma rates go way up, right? Because of these things as well. So it's this anti-thriving. It's like at this point in our life, it's causing us to not thrive. But it's, as Dan said, it's like, I don't know if we can stop, right? The thing that we're trying to build right now has come to this conclusion. Like it is definitely a hype cycle thing, right? But if you think about every single hype cycle we've been through, real things did come of it, right? It's only a bubble if it bursts and nothing comes back. And in the same way that there was definitely a .com bubble, right? Anybody and their mom who would put .com behind a business name suddenly were allowed venture capital, right? And then the chickens had to come into roost kind of fractal, right? Eventually. We might see something similar happen with AI as well. But in the same way, in the past, the people that didn't build out internet infrastructure, the people that didn't build out servers for themselves, or at the very least just web-facing portals, were left behind. They can't operate on the same playing field as those companies that came before. And I think that's the big problem that the industry seems to be facing right now, is they realize that there is going to be something coming off this. They see it as a whole new platform, right? It's going to be a new platform on which we create. In the same way that we create on these internet platforms, right? YouTube was created giving me a platform to be a streamer or whatever, right? The fact that the internet was made and then the internet had Web 2 built on top of the internet allows me whole new opportunities, right? It's a stacking thing. And you cannot have one without the other. And I do believe the same thing is going to happen in the new AI age. where it will, I believe, with certainty, give people again the tools to thrive, right? Give them the tools to do things that they otherwise might not have been able to, right? Change our lives, kind of thing. This place, this stream space, has literally changed my life irreversibly. And it wouldn't have existed at all if not for the financial crashes, if not for the catastrophes we've been through as a species as well. Maybe I'm still young, maybe I'm still naive, but I would like to believe that there is a stepping stone, right? Maybe it goes kind of like this. Little by little, we're stepping up towards a better state of reality. It's just a matter of like what that's going to look like in the future, right? What do I believe is possible? What do I believe we need in order to thrive? And it's not much. I think that's the thing as well for me, right? The average human being does not need that much to thrive. They need friendship, they need a place to sleep, they need food to eat, they need hygiene, right? And exercise, of course, as well. And then the thriving kind of happens as a consequence of you showing up for your living. And I don't think AI can take that away from us. And maybe that's the hope we can extract from today's conversation, is that what you are, the value that is your life, that is what you need to thrive, cannot be taken away, right? It can only be accentuated. Right now, Child at Heart and Old Soul by Colleagues, but a total potato in my eyes. Zach, I was just curious. I think it's making its downfall, thankfully. The statistics are looking hopeful, but it won't last forever. At least still to make a downgrade. Yeah, it is Leon. Okay, just about 50% of projects for data centers are being cancelled or delayed. Google is having to cancel Claude licensing right now. Google, who makes billions and billions and billions, can't afford Claude. The reason they can't afford Claude is because of how high the token prices are. And the token prices are directly attached to the level of intelligence, right? The quality of code that's like an output. The thing about Google is as well is that they own their own infrastructure. So they have their own AIs in-house as well. And I'm sure, convinced that their software engineers have access to even better tools than we can imagine. So that's the part of it that's accelerating as well, right? I think what we're working towards is a kind of singularity, right? Where at some point these systems start self-improving, right? And then it's just unknowns after that, right? It's a very singular event where we go from human intelligence to machine intelligence to machine and super intelligence, right? Where the intelligence that is held within that system self-reinforces, right? Heightens itself even higher. And for me, the hope is, again, curing all human disease, solving all human problems, and specifically the solvable problems, right? Like housing, like food quality, like infrastructure, again, right? All of these problems can be solved a little bit easier when we have something curating. The big problem is in where the line is to be drawn, right? If the AI says, here is the best place to build new infrastructure, right? Like a road here or a train station here is going to be able to serve the most people. However, here is on top of someone's house, right? How do we weigh these options, right? It's the whole collective good. In China, they actually have some fractals like that where they build infrastructure, but in the process of doing so, right, they do end up unhousing people, right? Like generations of farmland gets converted into a train station because that's what happens, right? And again, it's as you said, Lone Buffalo, like it's nice for the average person to be able to access that stuff, but it still causes harm on the microcosm. Is it justified? Is that what we need to thrive? right, is a little bit of individual suffering needed in order for all of us to thrive. I have experienced some individual suffering myself, right? And I would like to believe that I am growing because of it, right? Thinking about it from something as simple as just having been in those spaces, right? I have become a different person because of what I learned in that world as well. And even though I don't agree with all of the things that were happening there, I could still notice the value and what it is that they're trying to do, right? Like the Chinese government is very sophisticated, I think is a good word. In control might be a better word even, right? The level of in control that that world is in comparison to ours, right? America is free. Oh my goodness. America is so free, right? I feel South Africa also has some of that free energy, just like feeling like you have room to play kind of thing. America still has that quality to it. I think there are drawbacks, right? It's like this graph of sliders, and depending on if you move this slider moves as well, right? And you can only push so many of the sliders all the way to max before things start to break or people directly get to start influenced by it. It's a big cash grab. That I can agree with as well. However, they're also spending a lot of money, right? So it's not just a cash grab. There's still real hardware being deployed. All of a sudden, the topic in the workspace is ROI on tokens. In your workspace? That's pretty funny. I believe that if you lived within a 10-mile radius, nah, find me. Like, gee, isn't that what we've been talking about for 3 years now? It's true. That's what's making it lose its value above this token-based monetization. I could never afford Cloud Code on my own, given the tokens that I use at work, literally. Zach, private chat, search lifeguard. I don't know what that means. Some companies have spent $500 million on it. Jeez. First, our target was adoption and use. Now they want us to be judicious in the use. Holy backpedal. Yeah, I think they thought, right, and that is still what's happening, right? By next year, this time, the same amount of intelligence represented as tokens will be cheaper, right? Sometimes, if you look at the current trajectory of things, 10 times cheaper. So is something unaffordable going to be any more affordable if it's 10 times cheaper? Maybe. Maybe it will take 2 years. Maybe it will take 10 years, right? How long did it take for the internet to really become a staple in most people's lives, right? That's the kind of time horizon that I'm operating on. I have been talking about AI since the very start of the streams, right? I have had a optimistic view of what it's going to look like. And the way that it's been being built out feels very apt to what our human experience has been like. It feels clunky, it feels unaligned, it feels greedy. And all of these things are not new, right? They're tales as old as time. And I think that's where the real lesson is going to come in, is that when these systems do come online in the way that we believe they will, and if you think about, like, I know a lot of people that use AI extensively in their work, right? That it's become integral to the work they do on a day-to-day basis. So in that way, I think it's already happening. The singularity probably has already happened. It's just a slow takeoff kind of experience where it's not going to be breakneck, but it's still going to happen faster than we can imagine. And I think that's the big problem, is that how fast the technology is changing cannot keep up with or we cannot keep up with how fast the technology is changing. Like there is this inability for us to mesh with something that moves in like iteration cycles faster than you can basically build a project, right? Like if you, for example, let me make it like this example. If you decide I have this big coding project that I want to do, right? And it's probably going to take me a whole year to get this coding project done. And you start day one of the year. By day 365 of that year, if you were actually iterating with the cycles as they go, you would have probably used 10 different iterations of the same tool, right? By the time you finish just 1 year of creation, right? And in that way, that's just one person's micro of wanting to build a project, right? And how fast the technology is changing underlying it. Now, can you imagine all of us, billions of people with billions of different use cases? It's curious. I'm really curious to see if the average person will actually be using AI in the future, right? Part of me would like to believe that they will, but I can also see there is definitely a sentiment of not wanting to, right? Complete abandonment kind of thing. I'm gonna fumble the numbers a bit, but companies are having a massive rehiring of employees with a very high dissatisfaction rate with AI. I believe it's 60 to 80% regret rate of replacement. Good. Get those people back in their jobs. I'll take that as a win. My dogs escaped. Love again, Gobs. Yeah. I have to go make a little one's birthday brunch, and I wanted to point out how neat it is that it's day 1999 is her birthday. That is pretty cute. Sending her love to Natalie. Thank you for spending a moment here with us. I hope you send our kind regards from our community to her as well. Great idea. Can we have modern infrastructure first? I need to speak with an agent. A tooth. It's kind of funny that we've built this tech that is so powerful that we can't even figure out how to make money on it. Yeah. Because how do you value something like that? Right? How do you value something like that? Outcome, maybe. Maybe we need to get really good at outcome. I think right now we find ourselves as a species very attached simply to the financial outcome, right? Am I gonna make ROI? Am I gonna make a return on my investment, right? Am I gonna get as much money back or more as I put into it? However, if we can as a society shape our outcome towards thriving, right? The increase of human quality of life, maybe we will make more progress in that kind of perspective. And that's the part that I still have hope in, right? I think I think this is the part that most people don't really take into consideration when it comes to this whole AI conversation, is that it is going to become embodied, right? All of this intelligence that we're building in a cloud or in data centers, right? Even if it's not being utilized individually by us as human beings, it will be the platform that's utilized by robotics, right? In solving physical problems, in digging holes, in replacing friggin' water culverts. Is that what it's called? Right. In repaving things, in washing dishes, in cleaning out your basement. All right. Like you're gonna need a certain level of intelligence to do that. And I think that's where it's going to get a little bit wonky. Is that's what they're building it out for as well. They're building out essentially the juice machine, right? Imagine there's like one big juicer, right? And then there's like something that keeps needing juice in order to function. And everybody wants the juice machine. Everybody wants to be the Coca-Cola of the soda that the AI is going to drink. Yeah, boom. Bet you haven't heard that sentence before. It's kind of funny that we built this deck. I'm good now. We love you, Gobs. What's up, my man? Haven't seen this scarf before. Very Steven Tyler. You haven't seen this one? It's one of my favorites. It is very nice. It's very stretchy. Boop. It's got some jiggle to it. Yeah, not electric cars. They are battery operated cars charged by power plants that need coal and oil. The cool thing about electricity is that you can get it from anywhere. You can get it from coal, very cool. You can get it from oil, very cool. You can also get it from hydro, even cooler, and wind, cooler still, and sunlight, and geothermal, and literally human beings stepping on the floor if you have pressure sensing slash pressure to electricity turning pads, right? You can find electricity everywhere. You can literally get on a bicycle and then pedal it very fast to make electrons as well. All right, you can freaking rub your hands together. Electricity can be generated in many ways, right? So the whole, oh, it's just charged by power plants that need oil and coal, not a very smart, or maybe smart's not the right word, very nuanced, answer, I don't think. It looks like you find the inner peace. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for the inner peace. I'm concerned. I'm concerned for the well-being of my friends and my family, and as an extension of that, all of humanity, right? And I would like to believe that we will find what we need to thrive. That won't be taken away from us. But I am curious as to what that looks like. I am. Also, we just don't have the money to make all this shit happen, especially as fast as we're doing it. That's where the hyperinflation is going to come in the go. Maybe if we had rules and regulations, it wouldn't be so bad. Do you expect my private chat? Yes. No type 111. Average person doesn't have luggage. No money to travel. The average person does have luggage, dude. Like, literally, homeless people have luggage. Like, have you seen homeless people pushing around their carts? Right? I've never seen a homeless person that didn't have some stuff. Right? People have luggage. And travel is going to become cheaper when we don't have to have a human driver and we don't have to combust non-renewable fuels in order to move our physical forms. All right, so again, that's where I have hope for the electric slash AI future as well. Like there is things that will get better. Just how long it will take to reach every single person, that's the real hard question. Did you see Unreal Engine's new features? You can now prompt AAA slop. Nice. And the more you know. And also, I'm sorry that I haven't been an alarming amount of cases where people are making again, that you don't need to bring that into this space, Indigo, because that happens with the real world too, right? And I don't want to like draw lines. You know what? I'm not even going to encourage or like give any of my mental attention to that as a topic. Even Strange and European. Yeah, the Call of Duty to be more AI generated than developer made sooner than later. It's gonna happen. Eventually, the games will be live generated, right? Eventually, you'll have your mental state be an input that will actively change the output, right, on your other side of the game. Like, we're going to go wacky with it. Having free-for-all, everything for money, power grids, to legalities and morals. You look like a spiritual saint. I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not a spiritual saint. I am just some person. I'm just Melt, trying to be a human in a rapidly changing world. And not only trying to be human, but trying to remain hopeful. That's the most important thing in my heart. It's hard. It's really hard to remain hopeful in a world that's changing so fast, right? Especially in this fear mongering of everybody is going to get wrecked, right? It used to be nuclear war, right? It seems like most people are no longer scared of that, at least. That's a kind of win, right? That's a win. I'm not scared of getting nuclear war anymore. Now we're just scared of getting terminated, right? Which is like cool, I think, a little bit. That we're not scared of nuclear war anymore. And maybe once the AI and the robots have integrated into our society, we'll no longer be scared of getting terminated, and we'll be scared of something new. We'll probably be scared of meaninglessness. Yeah. That will be the new fear. Oh, am I meaningless? No. Come and sit here with me. I'll have a chat. We can have some chats. You look like Jon Snow. Nuh-uh. If AI was better, people wouldn't be so upset, but it's still mediocre. I think the average AI is still mediocre, right? And like the frontier level stuff is inaccessible to the average person. But Melt, I spoke about this yesterday. In an era when everyone can generate 10 out of 10, production quality authenticity will become the thing of value. And I agree with you on that, Dan. That's where the human thriving is going to come back in, right? Because that's what I believe. Is that as soon as we develop these tools that can empower the average person to do anything, then it's going to be the average person that gets the value, right? Because it's like if it's that line from The Incredibles, if everybody is super, then no one is, right? No one will be super, which means that you'll have to be creative. You'll have to bring your divine nuance to the experience if you want to create something that people will value on the other side. Because it won't just be the shiny shinies, it won't just be the visual fidelity, it will be the impact that it makes on the soul, right? And you have a soul, you have a spirit. So you're in a unique position that the AI can never be in. All right, you got that sensitivity to you. Sure, but can we make it reliably? Or can we make something production ready then? Technically, yes. Yes. This depends on which model you use. I read notes from underground to thrive. I am a sick man. I am a spiteful man. I am an unattractive man. I believe my liver is diseased. Jeez, notes from the underground. That's pretty rough. Oh. Now, next, hoopty hoops, do notes from the highest above. All right, hit me up. I am healthy. I am compassionate and empathetic. I am beautiful. I believe my liver is functioning at the optimal. Boom. Boom. Get it. I miss daddy.com and askjeeves.com. GoDaddy. You do? I wanted to find out if the website name that I wanted to create for myself was taken, and then I typed it into GoDaddy, and then they instantly stole my domain name and then tried to sell it back to me for $5,000. I was like, it's like cool. Thank you, GoDaddy. I guess. As I've said, the Springfield water source has already run dry. They want to now take from the Ozarks. You've said that, yeah. Natural underground mechanism that runs naturally. They don't care. They also don't have infinite room to build data centers on planet Earth, right? Very soon they'll be in space and they'll need no water whatsoever, right? So that's also not the end of the story. You look like you've spent 10 years meditating in the Himalayas. Kanas, Ned. I do love the amount of just positivity you're just radiating in my face. Like you look like a spiritual saint. Like, yes, thank you, but no. You look like you meditated 10 years on Himalayan mountains. It's like, wow. Also, no, I would love to. I would love to go and see the Himalayan mountains though. Like maybe one day, Kana, maybe you can take me. That is not going to matter if people don't have water. Water is not going to be a problem, Indigo friend. All right. Maybe in some places it would be, but our planet is 70% water, by surface. We got enough water, right? And the cool thing about these AI tools as well is that they will be able to build potentially even better desalination plants, right? I don't think water is going to be a resource that we're going to be fighting over. I think it's going to be meaning. Meaning is going to be the new resource that people are going to be desperate to acquire, right? How can you feel meaningful? And I feel like that's something that we're already cultivating in this space, right? Realizing that meaning is generated amongst people, not in computers, right? You can find meaning in doing work on a computer, but the only way for that computer work to have meaning is if it affects people, right? On the other side. And that's still what I believe, at least. Now we're going to educate people on how the rain isn't going to fix that. Yeah. Yeah, things like Trash Island exist. So much trash in the oceans have accumulated to literally the size of an island. Water is overrated. We'll all just switch to Gatorade. Lol. Yes. It's got electrolytes. Brando. The thirst mutilator. That's fucked. I drank Fabuso instead of water. Did you know that Gatorade is actually illegal to sell in other countries? If they do sell it, they have to put a poison label on it because they say it's unfit for human consumption. I've stopped drinking it. I didn't know that, but I also don't know if it's true. Fago. They all just drink Fago. Fago has side effects. I heard it's connected with a domestic terrorist group. What the fuck is happening in chat? Suddenly, I feel the need to drink some coffee about it. I'm gonna go get myself some coffee. I haven't had any. Let's do like this. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah. I can't take my hope out of my brain. The hope has been living there rent-free for eternity. Yes. I remain, hopefully. I'm gonna put some creatine in my coffee. 14 grams of it, to be exact. Just a little bit. Taking vitamins. Vitamins getting taken. Taking my vitamins. Beepity boop boop. Come on, dude. There we go. Nice. Shop. All right. I have put something in my body for it to thrive. There's some magnesium, vitamin C, D3 and K2, fish oils. And B vitamins. Yeah, that's the other one. Sweet. People. Whoa. I think I missed a few. Let me see. Man, I missed a lot. Oh my goodness. There's a. I'm gonna maybe just read through all of these little by little. Curing all diseases is noble melt, but what if we use AI to turn everyone gay? We'd guarantee to get coverage on News Fox. That's pretty funny. 5G is making the frogs gay. Good stops corporatism. I don't think good stops it necessarily. Maybe just stops using it, if anything. Kiss them all. Rah! The aluminium in the vaccine goes to your brain and interacts with the chloride and connect to the 5G towers. That moment, GBs. Indigo, beat me to it, Sam. You have to kiss all the frogs to preserve their closetedness. We spend money. We just spend it on dumb shit like checks notes, algae infested flag pools, right? That is pretty stupid. That I can agree with. My favorite part is that the frogs thing is based on truth. The company was dumping chemicals that actually fucked up the hormones of the frogs in the ecosystem. Yeah, that's true. Also true. But they claimed it was the Democrats. Yeah, the parents were fucking in the pond. No, I need to keep moving. I'm gonna just gonna like react with my facial expressions while I'm reading these comments. That's also it. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm agreeing with that part, Indigo. I'm at the part of like AI is a boogeyman that people use to lay off people. Yeah, yeah, that I agree with. Das Kapital by Marx. The end of it explains the whole system eating itself era that we're in. Yeah, we're in late stage capitalism right now, right? And I do believe that what comes next is going to be a type of socialism. But I also understand that human beings, left to their own devices, cannot socialism. Not at the scale that we're at, right? We are billions on the planet Earth. Billions and billions, right? And billions of people left to their own devices. A recipe for disaster, as we say, right? And that's where I do again have hope that robotics and machine intelligence could help fill in the gaps that we unfortunately inherently have. Multiple choice reading. Marx outlines his opinions on capitalism in it, Indigo, and at the end of the book he explains the final stages where the system needs to consume itself to continue to increase its profits. Yep. Get up, cop. Yeah, exactly. Gonna disappear me. You start with innovation and quality to generate profit, then you need to make the products cheaper, and then you need to offer labor for less and less compensation to continue to increasing the profits. A super rudimentary explanation, Indigo. It's true. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm quite aware. Unfortunately, I have real experience with the unfortunate abbreviation. That's why I'm quite passionate about that particular topic. Love you, Quirk. Quirk, the frogs are gay. There we go. Mm-mm-mm. I think eventually you're right, because eventually we're not even going to make enough money to buy the products or survive. That's what I've always wondered. My household is getting there. I've always wondered with the ideas like robots, if we get supplemental pay or will not be paid enough, then who's going to buy the products, or we're not paid at all. Like again, this is the way that I see it, Indigo, and this is the part that we can maybe like continue to maintain hope in our minds. It's in the best interest of the ultra wealthy to ensure that humanity doesn't get to that point, right? Because if you basically turn every other person into a post-apocalyptic freaking scavenger, right? You make the world inaccessible to yourself, right? My idea of being wealthy is having the money to be able to travel the world and see beautiful places, right? If they create a world where every single person in the world and all of the places are scavenging for resources, then they're just going to get themselves killed, right? Wherever they go. So I would like to believe that they're smart enough to not create that reality for themselves. right? And that's where I have hope that there will be a new system emerging. Okay, the gay robots. Buffalo, you're making my head hurt and you sound like you're chronically online. I think Buffalo probably is, like all of us, in some way. Too sassy to control and do a cartwheel into the splits and take your job. At least they'll be entertaining. I would let them take my job. Don't take it too seriously, Indigo. It's just a joke. That's why Marx argues for socialism and communism, Indigo. Even under capitalist systems, you reach a point where you have to share resources to sustain the system, not exchange resources, share them. Yeah, because again, those resources will come back to you, right? Like if you have the products that people need, they'll come back to you. So it becomes circular. Money is supposed to continue moving, right? Money only loses its value when it drops in velocity, right? You want money to go all the time. As soon as it just goes, now it's no longer really worth much. Saying that our systems should be built from the ground up on the concept of resource sharing. I'm telling you, the water will be a problem in Missouri. People are going to down here, be needing a lower electricity bill and water, and now gas for that matter. South African Star Lord. Then I've not read Marx, but the same issue is present in all systems. How do we redistribute without toppling the whole thing over? I think, and there's a part of me that likes to believe that this could be the ultimate solution, is that by integrating a better financial economic policy, right? And there is like a intermediate step happening right now, where if you friends know about the Clarity Bill, that essentially creates an avenue for private companies to purchase bonds and then hold those bonds and then issue those bonds in dollar value onto a blockchain, right? Giving everyone on planet Earth access to the dollar system. However, because of that whole bond system, that system is still inherently money printing, where the system that it's built on, the blockchain systems, do have monetary policy that's non-inflationary, right? So if you introduce and that's, I think, what's happening slowly but surely. If you introduce an inflationary financial system on top of a deflationary financial system, or just at least stable financial system, everything else, according to this bar, becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, right? Because you have resources being generated here, right? So this becomes more valuable in comparison to the things that we're creating. So by that logic, eventually, a piece of bread will be cheaper. It'll be cheaper to give you that piece of bread than it will be to execute the transaction on the real financial layer, right? And that's kind of the way that I see our far future going, is that the computers, all of this intelligence that we're building right now, will have to create wallets in the crypto space. Because in our traditional financial world, if I want to create a bank account, I had to have like a whole set of papers. I have to have an address. I have to have a social security number. I had to have my ID and my passport and my visa inside my passport, right? So I had to have like 7 different identifiers of my humanness before I could start a traditional bank account here in America. A robot doesn't have any of that, right? And good that it doesn't, because it would be a nightmare if it could just start taking loans. However, if you extrapolate that system of like, you can't in that traditional financial world, so you have to in this blockchain world, all of that money, right, is still going to be exchanged, right? And there will still be value created in those systems. And that's kind of where the money, I think, is going to gain value. Where if you have a system of exchange between the robots themselves, they'll make our money so much more valuable that in that way, our goods will again get cheaper. This is the hope I have in my mind. But we'll see how it, unpans as well. I think a large part of it is the fact that we're inflating our currencies into non-existence constantly, right? That I believe is the fundamental problem that we're facing as a species. That all of these other things are symptoms of the problem, right? That we're destroying the trust that we have in actually just being able to hold on to something. Good morning, waking up to Melt, channeling Mr. Trollala. People do not crave meaning. Yes, they do. They need cheaper necessities around here and sustainable life sources. We need the infrastructure and, quite frankly, ground rules before we can start working on this. That I agree with too, Indigo. That I agree with too, right? But I do think it is a matter of meaning, right? Like that is the real thing. Because again, I have noticed, and this is my personal perspective, I have noticed when I find myself in a state of low meaning, when I feel like I mean less, I consume more, right? We are in a society of consumption, and as you said, cheaper necessities. We want to consume for cheaper, when what we need to be doing is creating as individuals instead, right? We need to be creating more. And creation is something that is inextricably linked in my mind to meaning, right? Once you get into the space of like being a creator, it imbues you with a lot of meaning, and you need to consume less as a result. I agree with the fact that things need to be cheaper, right? Cost of living here in America is very expensive. I come from Africa. It's 3 to 4 times more expensive to feed this human body here, with technically worse food than I could find back home. All right, that is the truth of the fact. However, meaning is the thing that's keeping us alive, really, not the food. All right. It's what we feel all of this means that keeps us continuing, right? That actually sustains our life force, our life source. Strong coffee, you know it. Most people want AI slop. I don't know about that. I think people don't, right? If you look at the Sora numbers, the numbers say people don't actually. Unfortunately, which quite frankly is not worth the degradation of water and electricity. They do not crave knowledge. And even then, that's still not worth it. I think there's again more context than just that, Indigo friend. Right? If you look at the Sora numbers, hey Google, can you tell us how the Sora platform built on OpenAI has performed and what the usage looks like right now as compared to its peak? Right? OpenAI officially discontinued the Sora web and mobile applications on April 26, 2026, following a sharp drop in usage from its peak. So, to those who don't know, Sora was essentially an AI slop generator. That was its full purpose. It was there to generate AI slop. And it dropped, right? It's a sharp drop from its usage peaks. Usage metrics collapsed prior to the shutdown, with January 2026 downloads dropping 45% month over month to 1.2 million compared to its peak launch window. So the model reportedly costed OpenAI close to $15 million a day to run, and they had almost no revenue. Casual engagement dropped due to the copyright limitations and privacy concerns, and the underlying Sora API is now scheduled to be entirely decommissioned by September of 2026, and OpenAI is going to shift its core infrastructure and computing resources towards other models like SPUD and primarily conversational AI development. So in that way, it says by the metrics, like don't look at what people say, look at what people do. That proves to me at the very least that people are not, right? That most people is not into AI slop. In a modern context, Buff, it starts with boring tax policy. You have to begin by unseating deeply entrenched power by taxing their wealth away. I don't know if that's the solution either, Dan. Taxing wealth away is not something you're going to get support on, right? Thinking about like the New York situation, like it's only raising taxes on the people that earn $1 million and more, right? And I think that's good. I think that is good. But yeah, boring tax policy seems like the rational approach. That I can agree with as well. I don't think we need to tax the wealth away. I need to, I think I need to see a system that actually utilizes the wealth. Because I feel that's the big problem for me as well. It's like I don't trust the government. Because if you have a tax system, who are those taxes going to? To a government? I don't trust governments. I've not seen a single government that's like, trustworthy. These people have my best well wishes at mind. Not ever. Not once. Not once ever. And if there was one, I think weirdly enough, the freaking Chinese government, right, has probably more well wishes for their individual population, right? Even though they get around it pretty rough. Like I saw some shit in China. They were literally welding people's doors shut. Right? They were welding them into their buildings. Literally. Right? They did put food through the windows. They did continue to feed them, but they literally welded them into their buildings so they can't continue to move and continue to spread COVID. Right? So it's like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Like how do you trust the government? Because that's the biggest problem with the whole tax system for me. Right? South Africa. Oh my god. South Africa fucking decimates all of the tax they get, right? Like some of it makes it to the roads. The rest of it just gets put into people's pockets, right? So we're just creating a whole new wealthy class by corrupt politicians, stealing as much as they can, kind of thing. And that's again where I think crypto comes in, right? We need complete disclosure. We need public accessibility to know where the money is going. And as long as we don't have those systems in place, I don't think there's any use in increasing our tax laws either. Because where's the money going? That's the problem, right? There's more than enough money going around, but we don't know where it's going, right? We're completely blind to what's going on. We did this successfully in the late 40s, 50s, and 60s, and it literally got us to the moon, cell phones, computers, etc. Our power grids and things of that nature haven't been upgraded since the 50s and 60s, and we need to slow down the progression. Yeah. Gatorade is widely available, but is not sold in certain countries due to the regulations on artificial food dyes used in the drink. Checks out. MeltMore, raising an eyebrow, is the expression. Yes. Yes, indeed so. Charia, you keep saying they have plans to make their data centers in space, but I haven't heard anything about it. I will probably have to look into this. I'm not saying you're lying, I just haven't seen it. It's gonna be the next frontier, Indigo, right? You don't have to believe me, right? And you can call me a liar if you want, but the next 5 years is going to be very revealing, right? And I feel like I definitely have a lot of patience in myself for how these things unfold. But I don't know if that's necessarily the best approach. Like some people can definitely get a little bit antsy with the amount of patience that I have. I am a long game kind of player, right? And I know that while we're playing this long game, the only thing that I can manage for myself is making sure I get adequate sleep, making sure I drink enough water, making sure I exercise a little bit every day, making sure I eat foods that are as whole as they can possibly be, right? And you can eat really cheaply in America. You can eat lentils and chicken pieces and eggs, and your food budget, like I could feed myself on chicken pieces, lentils, and eggs, probably for around $100 a month, right? I wouldn't enjoy it very much, but I would have enough calories to continue my existence, right? I can do it. I could do it, right? And in that way, it feels like what we need to thrive, right, is technically available to most people around the world, right? I think it's even worse in I come from a third world country, right? It's even worse there, right? But technically the cost of living acquisition is even cheaper. You should be able to have enough calories to continue to exist in South Africa for like 40 bucks a month, maybe even like 30 bucks a month, right? Again, you wouldn't get the best food, you wouldn't enjoy your meals that much, but you would still be able to continue your existence, right? And I feel like that's I can hear how it sounds like, yeah, just suffer a little bit so that you might not suffer in the future, here, try it. But I'm more talking about the fact that that's an option, right? Continued existence is an option, where I feel it's very easy for us to forget what state of reality we live in because of our conditioning and because of our direct bias. Some people glamorize the Roman era, right? Oh, yeah, I was born in the wrong time. I should have been born, in Rome when it was thriving. Go and find out. Go and spend some time finding out what the actual life was like, right? Not again the upper echelons, not the ultra wealthy that lived in their nice marble towers, right? And had their beautiful cloaks and their slaves and their concubines or whatever, and their beautiful tables filled with grapes or whatever your idea about what the Roman era was like. It was like they were eating like bread, little slivers of bread, and olive oil. That was essentially their diet. And if you were really lucky, maybe you would try or get a piece of meat every now and then, if you were really lucky. And then people were just like shitting in the streets. Corpses were just laying in the streets, literally decomposing, waiting to be picked up by the little carts. It was rough. It was really rough, right? And I am very grateful, very, very grateful to be living in this era of reality. I feel like human thriving is way more online than it was back then. And but I have to hold hope in my heart that it will continue. I've seen it. I've seen it a little bit, and I want to continue seeing it. I want to see it for all of you friends too. Like, I have that hope for all of us. I just think it's important for us to believe that that is possible, right? There is a part of me that believes there's a inextricable link between what you believe about your life and what your life actually is. Socialism policies are what gets us out of trouble always. So hopefully we go and we start moving towards that. It'll be an interesting transition. Agreed. Currently, we have thousands of them here on Earth. We do not have infrastructure for at this rapid speed. The data centers. I don't think we need to slow down progress and to go. I think we need to increase our social investment. Yeah, building things that make people's lives better and do it fast. China is a good example to look to. Again, right? It's true. They do invest in their, like as you said, like the quality of life, making the individual people's lives better. But the way that they're doing it sometimes, like they are using taxpayer money kind of thing to improve the quality of life of the ground level people. But they're also use taxpayer money to pay police officers to weld people's buildings shut. Like that's also a part of it, right? So it's not so clear cut. And when you're dealing with billions, a population of 1 billion people, right? That it changes the way you think. It changes the way you try and solve problems, right? Because it's so much larger. The amount of unaccounted for variables explodes, right? Like the average human brain literally cannot like cope with it at all. Tax policies of the 40s and 60s literally got us the highways so we could get us connected. I wish we would have continued it. It will. All of like history rhymes, right? History rhymes, and we're in that stage. We're like in the early stages right now, right? Think about how the 1927s was, right? It was just before frickin' World War, right? And then a bunch of shit happened, and we were like, oh goodness, maybe we should reconsider. And then we reconsidered, and then there was great progress and change. And I think we're in that hard part of the experience right now. And it still gives me hope that we are still allowed to thrive despite it. Asia in general is a good example of how to do modern infrastructure. Don't even need to be China specifically. It's true. Japan as well. Singapore. Singapore is a gorgeous example of, just like public investment. But also, Singapore is doing as well as it is because of its low taxes on like businesses, right? They still have taxes, of course, but they are very business friendly. And because of that business friendly kind of way of showing up, so many businesses came to that country and it gave them the money to actually build out all of the infrastructure that they have right now, right? So they are linked. They are linked, unfortunately. It's true as well, Dan. Again, something we didn't touch on, and maybe I need to do a little bit more, or I need to do a little bit lighter, is there are violent and bad things that happen with AI also, and a lot of corruption. That we need laws and regulations on in general, and we definitely need layer to lay a lot of ground rules against that as well. The Green New Deal is a perfect real life example. The bill essentially is a jobs program to train 10 million laborers to build, operate, and maintain an eco friendly energy infrastructure in the US. Yeah, 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 yeah. Makes me hope. Send me some details about that. I want to work in the green industry. That's actually something that I really want to do. I want to be one of the people that helps install solar panels, that helps freaking connect batteries to the grid. Like, sign me up, coach, please. When refrigerators first became a thing, people were doing all kinds of shit with them, like putting their shoes in there. That's the AI era we're in right now. Even if we shouldn't, we're doing it anyway. People are doing a lot of bad shit. Again, Indigo, why are you focusing on this microcosm of people doing bad shit? Right? It's like looking through the keyhole. It's like you can hear there's like you're like, oh yo, there's whack shit happening in that building. All right. There's a whole town, but there's like this whack shit happening in that building. And then you go to that building and you look through the keyhole and you're seeing some bad shit in there. Right. Meanwhile, the rest of the town is thriving. People are doing their jobs. People are just getting by, trying to save some time so they can get back to their kids. Right. That's the reality of it. My sister-in-law, she uses AI every single day in her workplace, every day. And she uses that AI to get more time with her son, right? Like something that used to take her 2 hours to do now takes 5 minutes. And now she gets that 1 hour and 55 minutes back that she can spend with her baby, right? And that's just one person that I know. And it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Unfortunately, at this point in our history, we have this boost of productivity, but we don't get as much of the time back. Right? It just gives us even more time to do more things. When automobiles hit the scene, there were tons of accidents. We didn't stop making cars, we just made them more safe. We just have to decide as a civilization how much harm we're okay with, right? And unfortunately, we are, is it retroactive, the word? We unfortunately only react after the bad thing has happened, on a personal level. It's like we are a little bit silly as a species in that way. I just like the cold feeling on my feet, Sam. It wakes me up. Do what you want. I ain't eating out of your stinky feet fridge anyhow. You're doing good shit too. Yeah, they're doing good shit too. That's how the world works in both directions. Agreed. Safety first, then teamwork. I'm in the same kind of camp where I never try to pretend that bad stuff isn't happening, right? Because obvious. It's like as obvious as falling out of a tree that bad stuff happens. However, I try to consider myself on the camp of the good, right? And I believe that even just perpetuating good thinking, good wording, hopeful mindfulness begets more of it, right? Like I personally get into a really low state when I think about the shitty things that humans do, right? And the only thing that I can kind of like convince myself of or remind myself of is the fact that I am not perpetuating it. Like I said, rules and regulations. Irama, just being an idiot. I hope the countries are trying to sue him, arrest him, because he's admitting that he's cool. Again, he is and has created a lot right? When it comes to the financial world that is America as it is right now, right? So in that way, you can call him an idiot, but he still knows what he's doing, all right? I would like to believe, and if you look at his old like media appearances, he has had a vision for the betterment of our species. And I would like to believe that that vision is still intact, but America has chewed them up and spit them out, right? Like, I believe that there is something like a conscious field, right? And when a whole group of people start to hate your guts, that affects your mind. It'll literally make you go crazy. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're watching these people go insane because of the amount of just like blatant hatred for their existence that is generated. I would still like to believe, I still do believe in the vision of making Earth or making humans a multiplanetary species, right? I am a proponent of the vision of having a moon base and having a settlement on Mars, right? And if you look at the average billionaire, nobody is putting their money towards that goal, or at least nobody was in the year 2000 putting their money towards that goal. And that's one of the things that I can say that I respect that person for. However, they're still bad. They're still bad that comes with it, right? Like, I don't know the full nuance of the entire situation, but I can see what is being done on an actual being done basis, right? The whole SpaceX IPO, for example, right? People that were just welders, people that were cafeteria workers, suddenly became generationally wealthy, right? Because they were working for this company, right? So it is affecting real people. It is making real people's lives better. Not everybody yet, right? But again, those people that now suddenly have generational levels of wealth, they're going to spend it in their local economies. They're going to be building themselves homes. They're going to be going on vacation, probably. All of that money is going to, again, make its way back into people's pockets somehow. I have excitement for the future. I think that's the thing that I'm trying to cultivate, right? I think maybe that's what I want to like leave this space with as well, is that I think we need to have excitement for the future as humanity to thrive, right? If there's no excitement for what the future holds, how can we expect ourselves to thrive, right? I don't think it's possible. Literally, I don't think it's possible at all to thrive if we have no hope for the future. What a lot of people fail to understand about Iran is that he's a part of the same cults of beliefs that his daddy was, and it motivates his every decision. Yeah, a lot of bias. Let's call it. Is that called? Is that called to believe make money? I would assume that might. Yeah, I also have a hard time understanding sometimes. Nuh-uh, Sam. I saw Iran smoke weed on Joe Rogan's show. Now he's chill, lol. Weed is tight. My nerves are on fire in my fingertips, so I can't really type that well. It's okay to go. I'm here to try and understand. My electricity bill is in the ballpark of $100 next to a data center. It's about 800. That's ridiculous. I don't want to pay that. I would be homeless. Yeah, I hear you. Tried to be the edgelord, but landed closer to the Pillsbury Doughboy on ketamine. That's hilarious. Unfortunately, though, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, they still try to push AI recommendations, if you would like to call them that for content creators. It's not quite sure how to explain this. I have actually very recently learned that there is a decent little wave of socialist Democrats rising in popularity. Socialist Democrats are more popular than Democrats right now. The Democrats also fucked up. Like, that's the problem, right? Like, none of these systems are perfect. Again, that's the big problem. I think one of the biggest problems America faces is the dual party system, right? The whole bipartisan fractal. Like, that's it's one of the big problems America faces. Like, just two parties? Really? Really? Why? Because we said so? That's one of the big problems, right? That keeps the divisiveness very alive as well. I'm going back to sleep. Have a good one. Safety first, teamwork, then teamwork. Melt, you need to reduce their wealth to a degree that they cannot influence governments. The 1940s and 60s era of government for people and was born out of taking away the power of the wealthy via taxes. It's not the only solution, is the thing, Dan. Hey, Google, can you tell us about how Singapore became one of the most powerful countries in the world? How exactly did they do that? Did they do it with taxes, or did they do it with policy making, making it easier for businesses to thrive? I'm going to learn with you friends as well. Singapore transformed from a poor, resource scarce island into a global economic powerhouse through strategic policy making rather than high taxes. In fact, they kept corporate and personal taxes exceptionally low to attract foreign investment. They created a pro business environment. They had strategic location and infrastructure. They invested in human capital. They had strict anti-corruption and stability measures, and they have sovereign wealth management, right? So taxes is not the only way to get there, right? Pro-business environment, they cut the red tape, they protect intellectual property, and they establish stable laws. This made it incredibly safe, easy, and attractive for these multinational corporations to set up in that space. Then they had location. I think that's a little bit meh. Capitalizing on its position amongst major shipping lines, and government heavily invested in building world-class ports, airports, infrastructure, turning Singapore into a global trade and logistics hubs. So what's happening in America right now is that infrastructure is the data centers, right? That's what they're betting on, right? If you can think of the ships, right, carrying goods, and the ports being where they put those goods, the data centers is the ports and the ships, right? And everybody in the world of a cell phone can use that stuff. That's why they want to have so much of it local. Investing in human capital. Because the nation lacked natural resources, the government focused entirely on its people. They built a rigorous, bilingual educational system to create a highly skilled, disciplined, and tech-savvy workforce. Then they had strict anti-corruption. That's the one that I believe as well. That's why I'm still pro-crypto. Like, even though there's a lot, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of corruption in crypto because of the whole asset price manipulation, right? Trying to short sell and go long in knowing where the asset's going to go. The underlying asset is still solid, right? Like, the problem is that we're focused on the token price. That's the only thing that we're looking at. How valuable something is just the token price. Not what it's doing, not what it's building, not anything other than token price. Like, that's almost the only metric. We do have like some other like TVL and other metrics that we can measure as well. But you cannot corruption the actual fundamental code stack, fortunately. Strict anti-corruption and stability. Under the leadership of Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore enforced a zero-tolerance policy for corruption. Political stability and meritocracy gave foreign investors long-term confidence. And then sovereign wealth management. Instead of relying on high taxes, the government used mandatory civic savings, the Central Provident Fund, and sovereign wealth funds like Temasek and GIC to invest domestic capital globally, compounding the nation's wealth. So there are different ways to get to economic flourishing, right? Taxes are not the only way. And I feel like that's the big thing as well. Like, taxes are very simple to think, like, yeah, let's just take more money from these people that have a lot of money. If you don't have anti-corruption properly built into the system, means nothing, right? You're just going to get more, the power is just going to shift, right? It's the same thing with like people that have the more violent kind of perspective of like, oh, we just have to let them eat cake or whatever, all of those people. And that's also not the solution, because you're not taking away the incentives that got those power structures in the first place. All right, and good policy making is still a part of it. That part I can still agree with. Dan, provide the boy with context regarding Citizens United. We are moving towards Star Trek era. That I believe as well. I also recently found a statistic on what Democrats and Republicans thought of influence of power of money. When billionaires can't buy the Congress, Then politicians suddenly are forced to offer something to win an election. High tax rates is proven to curb the influence of wealth in politics. Google Citizens United, we got that ruling cause the billionaires padded the judges' pockets. They literally bought the ruling with all the extra money that should have been taxed. I know about that too. Again, old financial system. The financial system as it is right now is our biggest problem, right? And I think that's something that is due for change with this current technology build that we're having right now as well. Sarah sent to the chat. No laws, however, this is still something that is practiced and millionaires can still put as much money as they want. Even the higher ups think this is a bad thing, allegedly. I need to do a live stream where we all go way back of the establishment of the SEC in 1913 and take us all the way to 2026. It would be much easier. Do it. Do it, bro. Like, could be cool. Even if you don't do it right the first time, just growing that vocabulary could be good as well. VSF is here with us. In Missouri, over a 20-year span, we are going to be losing. I believe it is a $20 million because Google or whatever is not paying their share for 50 well-paying jobs not in the state. In general, we're going to be having our resources taken. This is not worth it to me. In general, like I feel like I see a lot of finality in your belief, Indigo, right? I think what's important for us is to hold room, right? Do not say that things are away, because that's, in my opinion, the biggest drawback, is believing that our history is already spoken for, right? That there's nothing that we can do, when that's not true, right? I don't believe in that at all, actually. There are jobs not going to Missourians, maybe a few, but not overall. I missed a beat, but came back to Citizens United. Too long didn't read Subway as a person. On that note, one day we will host a MeltMore Fest that is powered exclusively on green energy. Dan? I was thinking about that yesterday as well, actually, bro. Really, really would love that. Because there's a lot of bad shit that happens with AI. A sliver. It is a sliver, right? There's like all of this other stuff, and you're like really focusing on this little sliver, right? And it's constricting your ability to see the rest of it. Dear friend, like I'm trying to reach you. And I could go on and on that it will destroy our lives. But if I did that, I would probably be asked to leave. Because it's not true, Indigo. People believed, for example, right? Go and read the manifesto. Maybe don't read the manifesto of the Unabomber. The Unabomber believed that technology was going to do the same thing, right? Also believed he wanted to literally kill the people that built out our current technology infrastructure. He believed that that was going to be the thing that's going to destroy everything, right? And now it's just a new thing. Now it's just AI now that's going to destroy everything. And that's just more marketing hype. Don't buy into the hype, Indigo. It's not over. You're going to live a long time. And we're going to look back at this era and be like, oh, we were so stressed. We were so silly for being so stressed. I guess that's technically green energy, but it's definitely not clean energy. We gotta have a foundation for the good, though. There is no updated power grids. There is no clean energy to keep the generation running sustainably. It's being built, Indigo. It's literally being built right now, right? Let's ask, hey Google, how many green energy projects are being built actively in America right now? Right? That's how much it takes for you to find some hope. 600. Currently, there's more than 600 large-scale power projects actively under construction across the United States. If you include manufacturing plants for clean energy components and supply chains, then there's over 825 active facilities online or breaking ground right now. All right? That's insane. That's an insane amount of clean energy. 600 large-scale projects are being built right now. You cannot say, "Oh, we don't have any of this and it's over." There's no, because it's not. That's not the way the world works. That's not the way the world works. It's not the way the world works. Everything is going to get built because there's money involved as well, right? And if you can produce renewable energy, then you have your initial financial investment, and then it just is there. Sucking sun. We're sucking sun. Clean energy. There's no, because it's not true. There's no clean energy, you say, to keep the generators running sustainably. We have no good source of water that is sustainable. People can't afford these prices. There's no actionable law for people misusing AI. There is, actually. You can look that up as well, dear friend. We aren't here yet, and we can't get there if we don't have the building blocks, and people are drowning in scarcity of resources and money and health, whether that will be the physical health of the data centers or the health of the continent we are consuming. One of the first things that's going to happen, Indigo, is the curing of diseases with these tools, because we have more access, right, to data now, and all of the data we've already kind of like built up about like human well-being than we've ever had before, right? And that's the thing that we have to kind of like see this technology as the foundational. It's going to help us be healthier. Go and look at stuff like AlphaFold. Go and look at DeepMind, right? DeepSeek. Hey, Gabadygoo is sending love. Evs in chats, you say, I don't know. Melt being spicy with his ASMR. I'm not trying to be spicy. I'm trying to be spicy. I'm trying to share the fact that things are moving towards the good. Things are moving towards renewable energy, right? That is the way the world is kind of like heading. It's slow, right? And I feel America is probably the furthest behind of all of the continents, right? Look at what's happening in China. China is just 10-ish, 20-ish years ahead of that whole thing, right? Hey, Google, how much of China's electricity is completely renewable? I think it's something like 60% at this point. Hey, I'm wrong. 32 to 36 of China's total electricity is renewable. While the renewable energy makes up 60% of China's installed power capacity, its actual share of electricity generated is lower because wind and solar do not produce power constantly. But still, a third of all of their energy is now renewable after 10 years, right? Like if you told that to someone 50 years ago, like, yeah, China is going to turn 30% of all of their electricity renewable in the span of like less than 20 years, you'll be laughed at. But like, that's impossible. You can't build that fast. Yes. Yes, we can. And we're going to build faster. Faster and faster. Did you say billionaires? That's a lot. Someone else did it. This is where faith comes in, Indigo. Can you believe in a better future without actually being able to see it? That's the best thing you can do. I'm a cafeteria welder. Those robots need food too. We're spiraling here. Indigo, we're all well aware of the harms of AI, but this is starting to become circular. I think that's true as well. We're whalers on the moon, we carry our poon, but there ain't no whales, so we tell tales and sing a whale tune. That's cute. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yep, it's true. That's not true. The zero-sum game thing, I don't think that's true at all, Dan. It's not a zero-sum game because the pie is growing larger. Bailout, yeah, no. What? I'm twerking. Gravity goo. I should start twerking too. Hey, Joe is here with us saying, friendly famine folks, how are we thriving this fine Monday morning? I think we're coming to the awareness that despite the fact that these things are happening, it won't take away our ability to thrive. All right, and that we're thriving harder than ever before, right as we are. Someday Meltimus, probably not the first or second, but we'll do a green melt fest and it'll be sick. Well, let me see something. I hurt my wrist this morning doing yoga. I didn't flex my hands properly, and I put some undue pressure on the wrong spot. It's pretty sensitive. He was right, 50. Yeah. Can I get a yeehaw? Yeehaw, bro. Yeah. Yeah. Once again, I'll talk about it because you have respectfully asked me not to, but people make inappropriate content. Indigo, you are creating inappropriate content in my mind by bringing that to our minds, right? If you want less of that, then be less of that. It's being taken very seriously. I don't know if you know, but maybe you can try yourself. I suggest you don't, but you can try yourself to generate inappropriate content and then see what happens, all right? You're, one, either going to get blocked directly by the frontier models, or two, going to get put on a list, right? And you'll never get off of that list. So something is being done, right? Actively being done. China is still running on dirty coal. Less and less. That's the cool thing, Prairie Wolf. Less and less. Indigo, we love you. Yes, we do. Take care of your mind and body first. We can't tackle these crazy problems without handling the simpler ones first. I'm honestly triggered with you, Indigo. Now's our opportunity to face a challenge, regulating our emotions and practicing building those skills. I'm trying to explain without explaining. It's kind of hard to do that. I hear you, Indigo friend. I really do. I'm not saying that AI isn't being used in wrong ways, right? For example, right, the new Claude Fable, which is like a lobotomized version of Mythos, right? Mythos basically found, I think, something like 10,000 zero-day exploits the first day that it was turned on, right? And a zero-day exploit is essentially in software something that as it was being written, there was a problem in that code that can be exploited, right? So before that code ever got deployed, right, there was a problem already. And those problems, those exploits, are the most valuable to someone that potentially does want to get a leg up, right? And then this AI model found 10,000s of them. Software that we as humans, the most secure software that we as humans were using for something like 27 years, right, was found to be flawed by one of these models, right? So that's the way these models are adding real value to our society, by finding these things. Then they made that model available to people, right? The US government literally told them to stop because some people could still jailbreak them. These models could be used for cyber warfare, could be used for bioengineering of viruses, right? Could be used for all of these things. However, it's also being used for the opposite. It's also being used for fighting bioengineered viruses. It's also being used to fight cybernetic attacks, right? And again, it's which side you're on. Which side are you excited about? Which side do you want to put in other people's minds, talk about? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying these things aren't happening. I'm saying, what are we bringing into our minds? Does talking about the negative uses of things make us thrive, right? If we're going to talk about cars and only name the examples of people crashing and dying, and people using their cars to drive over cyclists or something like that, right? We're going to put ourselves in a bad state of mind. Yes, cars can be used for harm. However, cars can also be used to come and visit our friends. We use the car to visit Sam, right? And if it wasn't for a car, we probably wouldn't have been able to do that at all, right? There would just be no way for us to get there. So we look at the positives, not because we're unaware of the negatives, but because that's what we thrive on. I personally thrive on the hopeful, not on the negative. Deep breaths into the belly is a good cue to call to. Thank you, Joe. I did all that while trying to find my dogs who took themselves on a neighborhood exploration adventure this morning. Hey, Indigo, what is the outcome you would like out of this conversation? That's a great question, Lon. Technically, we're co creating content as we speak. I am inappropriate content. I don't think so. I think you can share inappropriate content, but I don't think you are it. I've been meditating a lot to calm my hyperactive mind, at least to cope. Good. So now that makes it so much harder not to say anything. It's just saying I'm pretty passionate about this stuff for reasons I know, Indigo friend. I'm not saying that the stuff that you're passionate about is wrong. I'm just talking about it from a perspective of realize that you are here in a collective mind space, right? You're not just influencing my mind, right? I feel I have a certain amount of resilience to thinking about dark topics, right? And not let it bring me down. But not everybody has that same fortitude, right? You could say something like that and it can form an opinion in someone's mind that is you will stick with them for the rest of the day, right? And I don't really want to put into a person's mind the fact that these tools can be used for exploitation of our youth, for example. As to go to sleep at 8:30 p.m., slow my breath down to 2 breaths per minute with box breathing style, and then my mind quiets enough to go sleepy sleeps. Indigo, we hear you, but what is the outcome you would like to achieve here? Good question still. Melt is in debate mode. I do get that way sometimes. I'm sorry. There's not a lot done about it, and it fucks people up with the rest of their lives, and people do get away with it. All right, Indigo, I'll ask the Lone Buffalo's question too. What is your desired outcome in sharing that perspective? Do you want people to veer away from? Do you want people to think about the potential harms of? Maybe we can like create some context. Your passion is your greatest strength, Indigo, but passion is a powerful emotion that has to be carefully directed. That is my most personal challenge in my life. I don't have audio because I have to be twerking. I feel like taking it easy today. There you go, bro. Get on Uncle Alert. Dan, you're challenging some Uncle Iroh energy with that statement. Yes, but statistically, cars are safer and have less bad in them. No, statistically, technically not. I think if you looked at the statistics, the real statistics about how these tools are being used, you would notice that the sliver of people using them for evil intent is even lower than the amount of people dying in cars, kind of thing, right? Because the statistics for car deaths is something like what, 20 or between 7 and 20 per 100,000, right? I think the numbers is probably even lower for people using these tools for bad intent. Gavi, I love you. Glad your puppers are tuckered and home safe. We are the Borg. Yeah, Lone Buffalo. We probably are. Me too. Oh, we're either the Borg or we're space orcs. I think we're probably space orcs. I'm more convinced that we're space orcs. Feeling of relief. Me too. Very grateful. I love them so much. Statistically, AI does a lot more harm to our environment, to ourselves than good. Where is the statistics? Like, where are you getting the statistics, Indigo? Maybe you can like share that with us as well. If there's more rules and regulations, people weren't shit asses. Mostly our government and the people who lay down the groundwork. Maybe it would be cool. My securities camera caught a clip of my reunion of Louis, which is very sweet. It's cute. Did they do a little neighborhood together? They didn't go together. They separated. That is kind of sad. I bet it's wholesome seeing them come together at least. That feeling of relief must have been incredible, Gob. AI is a nice tool. There we go. I use AI sometimes, but it's not worth all the 1,400 data centers or data centers, as you say. We have all the resources we're using. We can't keep up with it at this rate unless something changes. What do you think? Like, again, they're building out. They're building out infrastructure with the hope that it is going to be valuable in the future, right? And that's the love for grabs. Maybe that's the message you're trying to put down in the Go. I'm not sure if it will be, all right? I do believe it will be, but I'm not sure. Belief, you can't believe something and know it to be true at the same time. Indeed, I thanked him for coming home and gave him kisses. So what will break first, Indigo? Jeepsy's even more grateful. When Willow was a kitten, she took a nap in a drawer, and I closed it. Literal panic tearing my apartment apart until I finally remembered seeing her in the drawer. And you open it and she's still like sleeping there. Probably. Space orcs are cool. We're probably the space orcs. I love that Lone Buffalo knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. We're probably the space orcs, dude. And I like, if you don't know, I'm gonna read you this. Hey Google, tell us about the space orcs and specifically how they use their mental belief systems to create reality. This is an interesting part. In Warhammer 40k lore, the space orcs possess a subconscious collective psychic field known as the Wag field. This Gestalt field literally bends reality based on the sheer depth of their shared belief. I'm hearing that fucking cool shit. What that means is that it's function over form. Orc technology is made of crude scrap metal that should logistically jam and explode. However, because the orcs believe a gun will shoot, it shoots. If a non-orc picks it up, it's literally just as useless as a pile of junk. You can give one of the space orcs a stick and be like, "Yo, this stick is gonna shoot the biggest bullet you've ever seen." And then he fires that stick and then the power of colors. Orcs firmly believe that colors carry specific properties, and the Wag field makes it true. For example, red goes faster, yellow makes bigger explosions, blue is lucky, purple is stealthy. They paint their vehicles red and it actually increases its top speed. They paint their rockets yellow and the bombs have a wider destructive radius. They put blue armor and paint and it grants them improbable battlefield survival. They do purple and then no one has ever seen, because no one has ever seen a purple orc. And then medical miracles. The orc pain boys can perform horrific medical procedures, like stitching a severed head onto a completely different body, and the patient will survive simply because the orc expects it to work. Yeah. We are creating a Wag field too. It's true. I believe this, all right? I don't know if it's 100% like that, but that's basically the gist of it. Drawer Kitty. I get my statistics from a lot of different sources. I could not compile all of them for you, but I promise it's not like the Reddit or something, like untrustworthy sources like that. It's just very hard to like say, right? Because that's why I ask, is like how do you measure something like that, right? How do you actually measure something like that? It's so silly, Dan. We're in full-blown panic. Meanwhile, she's just chilling. Their infrastructure sucks. The orcs? Yeah, true. What do you mean, what will break first? I think it's a good question. You talk about like the amount of data centers and the lack of value that you believe it creates. So what do you think will break first? Do you think we'll just switch off the data centers? Or do you think that we'll just stop using it eventually? Like what part is going to give? Noodle darted out the door after 8 hours of intense kayaking. I had to run after him for a mile. I felt all of it only the next day. Said Buffalo farting on slot machine. Jackpot dudes. Hey Zo, I'm gonna check on you soon, okay? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Do you mean the infrastructure or the data centers? I'm saying data centers are infrastructure. The same way roads are infrastructure, the same way electric lines are infrastructure, the same way buildings that we get to do things in are infrastructure. Data centers are infrastructure. It's like a computer that lives in the cloud. It is the computer, right? And instead of us all, like think about how valuable your little computer is in your pocket, and now imagine the Earth having a computer. And it takes in all of the Earth's collective data, right? That's what the data centers represent. That's the infrastructure that's being created, right? We're trying to create super intelligence because having something that's super intelligent means that the problems we find ourselves facing, right? Material science, that's the one I have the most hope for. Just material science. Hey, Google, how much progress has been made in material science since we started using AI? Right? The amount of battery tech that we're going to see come out because of this as well. AI has fundamentally shifted material science from a slow trial and error process into a high-speed predictive discipline, primarily by compressing discovery timelines down from decades to months. It used to take us tens of years to develop a new material, right, to be able to build things with. Now it takes us months. Massive virtual screenings. AI models can now simulate the properties of 1,000 two-dimensional materials in roughly 10 seconds. A task that used to take over 150 days using classical computational methods. The stability explosion. Platforms like Google's DeepMind, Genome, and the Berkeley's Lab Materials Project have predicted hundreds of thousands of new theoretically stable materials, expanding our library of known crystals and molecules exponentially. This has already happened, right? You're talking about the usefulness of these tools and like, oh, they're useless. It's not worth it. This has already happened, right? We've already mapped almost every single protein in the human body because of AI. Now we're doing new crystal forms and molecules, right? If you understand how things crystallize, you can create materials that literally look like magic, function like magic. Then there's autonomous labs. The integration of AI with robotics has birthed self-driving labs. These facilities autonomously synthesize, then test, and then characterize new chemical compounds 24/7, radically decreasing our human bottleneck. So for advanced alloys, it used to be 10 to 20 years. Now it's at most 2 years. For battery tech, it used to be 10 plus years. Now it happens in days to weeks. Renewable energy generation used to be generational timelines. Now it takes a few months, right? It's happening. The reality check. It's giving me a reality check. I'd read one. Reality check. While generative AI is excellent at dreaming up these stable crystal frameworks with 98% predictive accuracy, the physical bottleneck remains. Translating these digital blueprints into physical materials in a scalable manufacturing environment is still the primary hurdle that these researchers are solving today. And you won't believe me, they're going to use AI to solve those hurdles as well. Right? It's happening. It's literally happening. It's here. It's already happening. Right? It's just a matter of like waiting for these things to become integrated. It takes usually about 10 years for things to go from lab to changing our lives in reality. And we're in that curve. We're in that curve right now as we speak. I am concerned about AI for sure, but frankly, I still can't believe the guy called Melt. Super gay? Doesn't sit right with me. I would be, right? Everybody has tried being gay, but nobody has tried being super gay. I'm not sure. From my knowledge, 50% of data centers have been canceled. Relay. Yeah, I'm not sure about that at all. I'm not sure of any progression of the power grids. You've heard that now, at least. 600 new renewable energy systems, large scale. So not even the small stuff, just the large scale stuff, like probably multiple megawatt level, is being deployed right now in America. And then on top of that, there's like 225 manufacturing plants to build out the renewable stuff, right? And that is also creating jobs. If there wasn't so much demand for energy, there also wouldn't be also demand for people to actually deploy that energy. I'm not sure of any progression of the power grids. Yeah, I've said that part at least. However, I was hearing people say that they wanted all the data centers done by 2030. I do not think that triple the power grid is possible by 2030. However, that's insane. Most of it will be in space by then, actually. Right? The whole. I think there's probably going to be no end to it as well. That's the other thing. That's how my code works. Yeah, Indigo, it's all smoke and mirrors, and the people of the cash are greedy idiots. If everyone bets on it, then we can't all lose. Joe, Noodles made you a triathlon ready. What will break first? We run out of water, general anarchy, the power grid collapses, or the valuation gets corrected. People, environment, speculative economy, they're trying to build a Palantir. They've already built Palantir, right? And Palantir's biggest model is essentially selling people their own models, right? So that they can keep all of their information in-house without it being leaked, right? Because the data is what's basically giving people the power, right? I wonder if eventually you're gonna have like the toilet paper factory situation happen. A lot of people are against these AI centers. I wonder if people are just gonna start burning them. You can't burn them. They're built out of steel beams. That's the other thing, right? Like they're built out of steel. You can't burn them. I actually thought about that recently. Hi to you, Kenny. Hello, Kenny. We've had people go and protest. Everybody against these for hours, and the city approved them anyways. I wouldn't be shocked. There you go, Indigo. Modern problems require modern solutions. I don't know what you're gonna try and burn with, but you're going to need enough fuel to like douse like a mega structure with, right? To even get like a little bit close to it. Unlikely. I've heard we're facing water stars potentially as early. We'll see. Just switch to brown now. As I've said earlier, people who live near data centers are being passed along. I haven't seen that myself. Indigo, I'm going to send you a video on Discord. It's a reminder I use for dealing with these things to provoke a lot of stress. I'm sure they're going to get expensive and people are going to riot and the economy will crash. Maybe I'll just drop in the main Discord melt. I think it's worth listening to for anyone interested. Yeah. To be honest, I probably shouldn't have gone on. I have not been able to sleep or eat or do much of anything. I'm very unregulated right now, and AI makes my blood boil. I hear that, Indigo. And I think maybe there's room, right, for it to not do that. I still think that there is the joy of having a broken brain. The stream is causing me stress. This fine Monday morning. Gonna navigate. Hope y'all are well. Palantir is an object from Lord of the Rings. Really? Red flag. Jet fuel can't melt robots. Yeah, melt. Just target the power source. The power source will eventually be in space, right? That's the other thing as well. The power source is going to be distributed. That's not the solution, dear friends. Violence is not the solution. Infrastructure destruction, not the solution, right? Unfortunately. If it was that easy, we would have solved all of our problems. We would burn down everything. Everything that's not our homes, we would burn down. Like burn down all of the factories, burn down all of the electricity grids, burn down everything. And then what? You think the life's gonna get better? No. Unfortunately not. Right? So it's not that simple. So we have to take a step back, approach this problem from another direction. The stream has been taken down until Homeland Security reviews the contents. I think we should melt less. Chip, sand, dip. Chips and dip. MeltMore is a reminder of your ego, not necessarily of the reality that we're in, right? I have had my ego melted by these conversations, all right? Because it is hard. It is hard to find some sort of consensus based on what we all believe is going to happen. And for me, and that's what I've been trying to share in today's stream, it's about hopefulness. That's the one thing that I try to maintain above everything else. Is trying to keep that gem of hope alive in my heart. Because as soon as that gets taken away from me, that's when they win, right? And if you don't have any hope, then that's a good place for you to be like, huh, have I lost the plot? Right? The plot is you. You are the plot. You are the point of all of this, right? The data centers included, right? It's a you inverse that you're in. It's all you. There is no separation. Sensu beans, hit me up with some. I think I could use one right now. The only thing that melt on steel beams is goops and it's farts. What the hell kind of beans are you eating? Sensu beans? That's pretty funny. All right. Hot damn. I made it to the bottom of chat. Irradiated refried beans. The Iranians' nuclear program doesn't have shit on my bean stash. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we can do something like this. You know, since we're trying to create perspective, let's do it deliberately. They changed my shiznit. Fine. Me and my friends have been having a conversation today about artificial intelligence and how it does seem like there's a lot of dissonance between what people believe it's capable of right now and what people believe it brings to society. My central stream topic for today is what do people need to thrive? And I believe that we have everything we need to thrive and that we're now entering an era of great change, right? However, what we need to thrive won't change in that way, right? It's almost like the external layer of our creation, the access we have to our experience is going to be the thing that changes, but we're still going to be the experience creator fundamentally. I would like to create some nuance in all of our minds. Give me the potential negative outcomes of an AI future, but also give me all of the potential positive outcomes. Make it relatively short. I want to not spend more than 5 minutes reading this piece of literature or output and end it up on a hopeful note, right? Something that we can take away, believing that there is in fact hope for every single one of us, right? How could things get better? And how long will it take? Maybe the time duration could be an interesting one as well. I win the plot by not buying into letting AI take over my brain and creativity and tracking my every move and know my every detail in life. That's been long done, right? The having your brain taken over, your creativity affected, your every move being tracked. That's been being done by this phone that you have since 2006, for the most part. So like, I don't know, like it's been 20 years, Indigo, and it hasn't happened. The thing that you're worried about hasn't happened. Kiddy, that's not true. We need you to thrive. Yeah, Kiddy, like I'm gonna ignore you with the whole trying to get me jobs because you're not listening. I keep telling you I'm not allowed to have a job yet, and you don't listen. So the fact that you don't listen means that it doesn't help me to talk to you about it, right? Because you're not listening. It's like I can talk to walls. I can be like, hey, wall, I'm not allowed to have a job right now. But then on the wall is still written, oh, here's a job opportunity. I'm like, brah, like try something else, kiddie. Have you considered trying something else? What follows is not a prediction, it's a map of possibility. The truth is the future of AI is likely to amplify whatever is already present in our humanity. It's a lever, not a destination. The negative future, since we have given ourselves, right, the potential to see the negative. You don't need to do that, Indigo. You don't need to do that, right? I don't know who asked you to do that, right? That sounds like it would be extra steps. Watch that video. It's a good one. I think you would probably appreciate it. AI could make people less necessary for many forms of work. Entire professions may be transformed faster than our society can adapt. That's what we said in this space as well. Some people may experience a crisis of purpose. That's my point, right? That meaning, purpose is going to be the thing that we need. Information could become harder to trust. When images, videos, voices, and articles can all be generated instantly, reality itself may feel, negotiable. Attention may become the most contested resource in history, and it's your attention that's the thing that's contested, right? Because what you put your attention towards, if you believe the world's a good place and you're giving your attention to that, or you believe the world's a bad place and you give your attention to that, it's going to still be your experience, right? It's going to be your experience as you're having it. All right. Attention may become the most contested resource in history. Algorithms could become increasingly effective at capturing human focus, making distractions easier than ever. Power may concentrate. The organizations that control advanced AI could gain extraordinary influence over our economics, our politics, and our culture. And perhaps most importantly, people may outsource too much of themselves. That's what you said, Indigo. Their thinking, their creativity, their judgment, their agency to these machines. The positive future. AI could make education available to everyone on Earth, personalized to each person's needs. I'm happy that it starts with that because education is the #1 lever as well for thriving, right? You can try and inject as much money into a society as you want, right? You can tax the billionaires into non-existence and you can just put those few dollars in everybody's pockets, right? But if you don't educate people, it's gonna, like, they're gonna spend that money on freaking lottery tickets. They're gonna spend that money on KFC and McDonald's, right? And it will all just go straight back into the corporate entities' pockets. That's the problem, right? Education is where we're lacking as a species right now. Scientific discovery will accelerate dramatically. Diseases will be cured faster, energy systems will improve, materials, agriculture, and medicine will advance at unprecedented rates. It's already happening. That unprecedented advancement is happening today. Creativity will become more accessible. People with an idea but no technical skills will be able to create films, music, software, books, businesses, art. Many forms of scarcity will vanish. Let's read that one again. Many forms of scarcity will vanish. Because again, if you have robotics and intelligence working towards the problem that is the scarcity that we face, it'll vanish. If intelligence becomes abundant, solutions become cheap, right? That's the way that it is. If intelligence is abundant, the solutions will become cheap. People may spend less time surviving and more time becoming. The greatest possibility is not that AI becomes more intelligent, it's that humans gain more freedom to express their intelligence. The nuance often gets missed. Throughout history, technology has changed how humans live, but not what humans fundamentally need. 1,000 years ago, the same. Today, the same. If in an AI saturated future, the same. No matter how advanced our tools become, no technology has yet replaced friendship. No algorithm can replace purpose or meaning. No machine has replaced the experience of feeling loved. The external layer changes. The human layer remains. How long will it take? The next 5 years will probably feel surprising. The next 10 years will feel transformative. The next 20 years will be almost impossible to predict. But adaptation, yeah, is one of our humanity's oldest skills. Every generation has lived through changes that felt world-shaping. Most people alive today carry technologies in their pockets that would appear miraculous a century ago, and yet they still laugh with friends. They still fall in love. They still worry about the future. They're still seeking meaning, and they look up at the sky. A hopeful conclusion. If AI gives us anything, it will be as a mirror. For centuries, intelligence was rare and expensive, and we're approaching a world where intelligence becomes abundant. When that happens, the question changes. It's no longer, can we think? It becomes, what is worth thinking about? And I feel like that's what I've been trying to stress over and over again with your Indigo. Not that you shouldn't be thinking about that stuff, but is it worth thinking about the harmful uses, right? Is it going to help you thinking about all of the ways in which you can use AI to harm humanity? I'd like to say no, right? What is worth thinking about? The future will not belong to those who can produce the most information. It belongs to those who can create the most meaning. And meaning is still a profoundly human art. If we remember what people actually need to thrive, health, connection, purpose, growth, love, community, then there is every reason to believe the future can only be better than it is at present. Not because the machines will save us, but because they give us more opportunity to become who we choose to be. That is the hope that I have. That is the hope that I've not been able to let go of. That's the hope that remains in my heart. And I know that I can sometimes be very strong man in focusing on it, but it is like that. What are we going to think about, right? What do we need to thrive? What do we need to thrive? 40% of college boys have an AI girlfriend. I don't believe that. I just do not believe those statistics, Indigo. Right? I'm not saying that it's impossible for it to be true, but where do you get those statistics? Where are you getting that? Did they census every single college kid, every single high school kid? I don't think so. I do not think so. So I don't know where these statistics are coming from. The one I dropped in Discord. Is it brain science at the expense of mass physical resources? In my limited understanding of the economy, the problem occurs when the flow of money stops, like in the case of a mega hoarding like Elon and BlackRock. Again, there's the wealth is attached to assets, right? So it's not exactly hoarded in that way. Any thoughts on that, Dan? Yeah, that's why the wealth hoarding is bad. Not because we want to take it from hard workers, but because the money needs to keep moving around. Cardi B once said, I make money moves like a queen. Just an example. Astounding that. Unfortunately, AI girlfriends or companies have become addictive and humans have become isolated when dating pools have become smaller. It's had a negative impact on humans and on our brains. Just like the internet, right, can also be said to have caused negative impact. Just like cars could have been said to cause negative impact, just like homes. We can argue that the house, the family unit as we have tried to believe, you know, is the right way to have it, has separated us from the communal living that we used to be occupied with as well, right? Symptoms, not the final predicament. We still do go out and spend time in community, right? That's still available to us. You delivered an economic thesis wrapped with Cardi B quote. Buffalo, I was not asked, but on a totally unrelated note, you know the bookstore I used to work at had a cannibalism cookbook in the special art section, locked in a case. That's rough. What the fuck, Sam? Yeah. Applied. I was shocked too. It shook me. Excellent. You're finally asking the right questions. My brain thought that it made an excellent pork roast with some beef broth and a packet of onion mix. You can do a lot with a little. I can't quite remember because I looked into it very briefly, but it has no good reactions on the brain. We are actually in a loneliness epidemic right now, and that is very bad, and AI is addictive. My AI girlfriend is cheating on me with the digital ghost of Stephen Hawking. My husband cheated on me with our nanny. What do I do, hippie looking man? Nobody? I think get really good at breathing. I don't know if I believe anything anymore. Nobody. I think you have been here before, right? I think you've said something similar to, or is this the first time that you've ever been here? Audition to to their third. That's so fun. It's not. Breathing ain't gonna get my husband back, bro. Yeah. Maybe if you can get really good at mindful breathing, you won't need your husband back, friend. Let's see. All right. Let's use this deep research, extend thinking, and we'll use the pro model. Are there any statistics on what percentage of young people, let's go from college age down into high school, that are using language models as girlfriends? Is there a percentage that has been censused? Where is the data? What is the scientific consensus? All right, then we can see. It's a solution that resolves in a net gain for all parties, Buffalo. My girlfriend left me for Tyrone. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's exactly what happened. I'm sure. I'm convinced. Oh, oh. Let me see something. Good. Gathering some data insights. It's really thinking about it. Marx is shaking his head at you, Sam. That's for middle schoolers. Well, I did go college down into high school, so we'll give ourselves some context at the very least. I don't know many college or high schoolers, right? So I am definitely one to not know. But I'm sure that there's probably someone who is doing some sort of data analysis or gathering. Again, I'm going to look at this from a rational perspective and see for myself, come to my own conclusion. Because again, I think there's just too much nuance out there for us to come to a conclusion. I don't know anybody. You see, that's the problem, Indigo. It's like I don't know a single kid that has an AI girlfriend, not one. But I also don't know many, right? Like I have a couple of cousins, or I should call them nephews, right? And all of my nephews are interested in people, right? Like I'm thinking about my eldest nephew. He has a girl that he's pursuing who's a real person. And if anything, right, hopefully, maybe these language models just teaches these kids the skills to be able to communicate. That's the way that I see it happening as well. It really is extensively gathering data. I did ask for it to really do the job, but it's doing it. It's probably going to wait a little bit longer. Yeah, I don't think it's as simple. Nothing in life is so clear. There's just too many of us for the data not to be nuanced. I have two 17-year-olds that have significant others. You have two? Like friends? Yeah, right? Like I'm gonna find out. I guess I'm saying I don't know anyone who has AI girlfriends. Yeah, siblings. Okay, makes sense. I don't know anyone either, right? I know that there's probably a whole community of gooners on freaking X or something like that, right? That stan how much they love their AI girlfriends. But again, outliers. Outliers, not the common thing. Maybe the numbers will increase when we have embodied AI, right? And then we can have a conversation about that. Because I think that will probably make it easier for you to have an actual relationship with an AI than it would be right now if it's just a computer screen. But I'm looking. This thing is still looking. You have kids, siblings, it says. She got siblings, two 17-year-old siblings that have partners. Yeah, right. There's a part of me that's also like, I don't know if high schoolers should be getting into relationships, but that's neither here or there. It's not for me to decide. I don't think you have the emotional bandwidth to actually be with another person at that point in your life. However, there is people that had partners at that point of their life and are still with them to this day. I met a couple just recently who met each other, I think when they were 15. They got into a relationship when they were 15, and they've now been in that relationship for like 27 years or something like that. 5 siblings. All right. We got some data. Yes, the data is officially starting to roll in. While the phenomenon of using language models as romantic partners is relatively new, there is major polling organizations and research institutes that have begun censusing exactly how widespread this is amongst young people. The data is generally split into two demographic groups: young adults, college age, 18 to 28, and teens, 13 to 17, with the data tracks companion or emotional support as due to survey restrictions regarding minors. So between ages 18 and 34, there is 10% monthly active use. A general Gallup survey conducted for the Walton Family Foundation and the Harvard Business Review found that 10% of ages 18 to 28-year-olds interact with an AI girlfriend or boyfriend at least once a month, right? So the daily number is going to be in the 0.1 percentages, right? 45 experimentation rate. According to 2026 App Industry Analytics, 45% of US men age 18 to 34 have at least tried an AI girlfriend app. Happy to be a part of the statistic that hasn't. Though trying does not necessarily equate to long-term use. And then 15% of partnered adults. May 2026 report by the Institute for Family Studies found a surprising metric: 15% of dating, engaged, or married young adults regularly use AI chatbots that simulate a committed romantic partner. Another 20 to 30% of young adults reported experimenting with one at the same point. Well, that's an interesting statistic. The fact that people in relationships have a higher number. I'm just happy if they wait until high school. True as well. Good morning, it's Angela from Italy, my favorite couple. How are y'all? Missed y'all. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Angela from Italy. Sending you so much love. Damn cheaters. Some of them are open about it. And then the kids, right? The 13 to 17-year-old. The Pew Research baseline in February 2026, Pew Research Center survey found that while a majority of teens use AI for homework, a smaller subset uses it socially. 16% of US teens use chatbots for casual conversations, and 12% use them specifically for emotional support and advice. A 2025 National Survey of Teens found that 72 had interacted with AI at least once. However, when breaking down why they use them, only 9% reviewed the AI as a friend. The confidant effect. Interestingly, researchers from Bangor University found that 52% of teens using these apps had confide in an AI companion about something important or serious, though the majority, 80%, still report spending more time with their real life friends. So there we go. Didn't take us long to fact check that 40 to what 40 to 60% number. Still alarmingly high, right? Like we're in the tens of percentage. But again, oh, they're open. Good. I still don't think it's as clear cut, right? Thinking about those kids, right? Thinking about myself even, right? Some people never have the freedom or the access to have a conversation with someone that will be considering the nuance of their experience, right? Some people get to talk to someone articulate for the first time ever, talking to an AI, right? So it's not surprising to me that people are confiding in these machines. However, it's a mirror, right? It's like thinking about looking in the mirror, right? Everybody has looked in the mirror, right? And everybody has probably gained some insight from looking in the mirror. Oh, look, I have a pimple. Oh, look, my beard is growing long again. Oh, look, my hair is one side or another. Oh, I can fix it like this. Oh, I can shave it like that. Oh, I can put on a patch, wash my face a little bit more, right? That's what these tools are supposed to be for us. Not taking away anything from us, but accentuating the creation that we're here to bring, right? Speeding up our creative process, closing the gap between wanting to create something and actually being able to create something. I think it's hard when these conversations come up in this way because every single person has an opinion, right? And your opinion is valued. Your opinion is valued. But I think it is a matter of like, what are we thinking about? Not can we think, right? But what are we thinking about? For me, I've been thinking about human thriving. That was today's stream topic for me. I did watch that documentary yesterday that influenced the fact that we talked about this specific topic. However, I think I agreed with the sentiment of things haven't changed, right? Despite the amount of technological evolution that's happened for our species, the underlying existence that we're having has not changed for thousands of years, and it won't change anytime soon. The only time it will change is if we start to transcend our human bodies, right, and become something else. But we're still a ways away from that. Very far. Yes. Not here just yet. So, what are we thinking about in the meantime? I'm thinking about all of the ways in which we can hope, all of the ways in which we can grow, all of the ways in which we'll be able to create a new. Yeah. I love you, friends. God bless you, Hamas. I'm going to pull a card, and then we're going to see. Maybe the sacred geometry can give us a little bit of perspective. Calm ourselves down a little bit. Feel free to do so, Chip. Yeah. You have all of the power. Oh. It's in your hands. You're telling me to stop? Is that what the porf is? Whoa. Dan, I literally pulled this card for you yesterday. It's pretty wild. But that's the one I pulled when you said stop. Or when you said porf. I pulled friggin' Mermaid Hearts again. However, this is the card that I pulled for myself. This is the card that I pulled thinking that nobody is going to tell me to stop. What? I'm porfing. Gratitude. Oh my goodness. What an apt message. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. More turtle energy. Yeah, see. I did it on purpose, Mel. I knew it would happen. How could that? Remember to play. I think it's awesome that we remind ourselves of that as well. Right? Merriment and play. Remember that that is what we're ultimately doing. Right? Friendship, laughter, and play. If laughter... No. This card, that card that you pulled, Dan, reminds you of the importance of laughter and play in your life. Again, I would like to believe that just because AIs exist won't take away our ability to laugh and play. It can't. In fact, I think it will only give us more things to laugh and play about. How many cards in the deck? 64. So like 1 in 64 chance that you pull that card, and then 1 in 64 again. I don't know if the odds multiply, right? But the odds are unlikely that you pull that one twice in a row. The importance of laughter and play in your life. Do you find that laughter comes easy? Are you daily engaged in activities that bring you joy? Do you connect with friends? Sharing laughter and merriment. In the demanding pace of life today, sometimes we forget how important it is to have a good belly laugh once in a while. It is so true that exercising your laugh muscles is enormously important for your overall health and well-being. There is proof that having friends with whom to both commiserate and share the fun of life aids in living complete, fulfilled lives. That's what we do. That's what we're showing up for. That is 1 in 4,060 chance pull. Yep, but the unlikely. Getting double reminded that friendship, laughter, and play. All right, that's what we need to thrive. That is what we need to thrive. Do you play poker? No, I do not gamble. I do not play poker at all. I've played poker with my dad and my siblings for fun, but I will not go to a casino to play poker. Yeah. We pulled it because we needed it again. Noise. Yeah. There is proof that having friends with whom both to commiserate and share the fun of life aids in living complete, fulfilled lives. If you have forgotten how to play, this card calls upon you to seek out your friends and bring laughter and enjoyment into your present. Laughter is infectious. Share the fun. I once pulled a 72 card deck 4 times in a row, 4 days in a row. Damn, the message must have been loud. And then the card that I pulled for this space today, the message that I want to bring into it is appreciation and thankfulness. Appreciation and thankfulness. That's the energy that I operate from almost relentlessly, right? That's what I need specifically to thrive. I do need laughter and play and friendship to thrive. But if I don't have any appreciation or gratitude or thankfulness in my heart, not a fun person to be around, right? At least I've noticed this in myself. We need to continue maintaining our gratitude. Sun peeking out the clouds, a spiral in the center, there's 2 turtles. There's a lady holding a shell or a fossil on a rock. She has little turtles on her outfit. A crown of flowers. The golden spiral within A circle here represents offering prayers of appreciation and gratitude for all, all of life's gifts. All of them. Spirals represent the purest form of moving energy. Therefore, they are a perfect means of expression for sending into consciousness your prayers of gratitude. The priestess figure sits at sunset, consciously acknowledging and giving thanks for the glorious beauty all around. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of our lives. Appreciation brings greater understanding and awareness of the miracles that are occurring all around us every day. Looking through grateful eyes increases our ability to see beyond ourselves and to enjoy life more completely. Choosing this card brings a message of appreciation from the cosmos to your very own heart. Give thanks for your amazing heart, which moves energy through your body so that you may live in this physical world. Give thanks as you open your heart, and develop the intelligence that resides there. Living with gratitude is a part of your sacred path. Living with gratitude is a part of your sacred path. Appreciation of your own divine nature and that of everything around you will assist you to experience expanded awareness and appreciation for all that is. No separation. There is no separation. Gratitude is such a simple thing, and yet it's one of the most powerful energies that you can engage. If you start each day in gratitude and appreciation, you will see your world expand. As you move through your day, take moments here and there to connect with your appreciation for the abundance and love that fills your life. Notice how much more beautiful the world appears as you offer yourself the gift of gratitude. Damn. I feel like that is the message that I've been trying to put down, right? I am not blind to the problems that we face as a species. I'm not blind to the direct influence that these systems we're building has on individual lives either. But I have to, from a place of gratitude, maintain the hope that I have in our future, because it's all of our future, right? It's like I have this sacred, my sacred purpose. Let me read that line again. It is my sacred path. There it is. Living with gratitude is a part of your sacred path. It's my sacred path to maintain hopefulness, right? Especially so when I am giving evidence to the contrary, right? Especially so. It's like the hubris. It's why I think I got born with oppositional defiance, right? Because if I didn't have any of that oppositional defiance, I would just let myself be shaped, right? I'll just have my opinions be influenced by the senses, by the statistics. However, it's not the case. It's not the only truth of our reality as we're having it. I believe that there is so much hope for our future. Gratuity sometimes comes at the cost of others. I don't think so, Indigo. I do not think so, right? I don't have to take anything from anyone else to be grateful for where it is I am. Shining your light does not outshine others, right? There is no zero-sum game going on. The pie grows bigger. Prairie Wolf. Love to you, friend. You know, I'm born to lose and gambling's for fools, but that's the way I like it, baby. I don't want to live forever. It makes one of us. Lone Buffalo. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope to be here tomorrow for the big 2K. It's true, Hamas. Tomorrow we will have day 2000. Feels very complete, right? Day 1999 has come to a sharp point. I think today's topic is on the minds of many people, right? And the perspective of the harm that it's doing to us is well understood. But I've made a promise to this community. I've made a promise to this community to keep showing up, right? And one of the big forces for me to keep showing up is the belief that love is true and that I maintain a hope that it will be. Party like 1999, y'all. I don't know if you're oppositional, defiant, melt. You're likely naturally curious and therefore challenging shit, but you're not just contrarian for the sake of being contrarian. Not anymore. Not anymore, Dan. But I used to be. I used to be. Very much so. I have found synchronicity in my own state of being. Right? But I have oppositional defiance towards the negative sentiment too. Right? I have oppositional defiance towards the it's all gonna be sunshine and rainbows perspective as well. Right? I've tried to maintain the middle way. I communicate in extremes so that I can find balance somewhere in between. And I look forward to continuing forward with you, friends. I'll show up here and I'll welcome you back. I'm curious. I love how the shared perspective creates nuance, right? And I'm sorry that if I sometimes, in sharing my perspective, strongman it, like it's a me versus you thing, because that's never my intention. It usually is a matter of just perspective, right? It's like the whole six blind men get put in a cage with an elephant. One man comes to a conclusion about what it is that they're in the room with, different based on the perspective that he has, right? Oh, I'm feeling a trunk, feels like long and slivery, has hairs on it. And it's like, no, that can't be right. Mine is thick and it touches the ground. And the other is like, mine feels like a big wall of flesh. All of us are right, but we are allowed to share our perspective, right? Maintaining grateful for the opportunity to be in the space together as we're feeling into this uncertain future we're showing up for is the best thing that we can hope to do. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Fatima, I'm just finishing this up. I'm sorry, the trunk metaphor. Be careful out there. Don't let yourself come to believe that there is no more hope left for you, because there is a lot. I love you, friends, and I look forward to continuing to show up with you forever. I'll never stop showing up. All right? AI can't take my job, and AI can't take yours either as it comes to this exchange that we have. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody. Love ya. Cheers.